This is One-on-One. We are now going one-on-two first with Dr. Pamela Paskowitz, Executive Director and CEO, Summit Speech School, and Heather McBride, Preschool Teacher of the Deaf, Summit Speech School. I want to thank both of you for joining us. It is very rare that we go one-on-two, but we decided to do this because our friend Kevin Cummings at Investors brought us together and told us that you guys are doing great work. Summit Speech School, you're different than a lot of schools who people think they do what you do. Describe it.
The name Summit Speech School, most people think that we teach speech, public speaking. We
Yes.
don't. We are a small private school for the deaf, and it's called Summit Speech School because it originated in Summit, and the woman who founded the school wanted to give the gift of speech to deaf children.
And the age group that you focus on is?
We have 3 programs. I'm going to take over and let Heather talk.
Now this one-on-two is going to get tough if you're going to keep looking at each other.
I'll let her, she'll have her turn. We have a
You could see who the executive director is.
but she does the magic, so after I give the boring piece, Heather can take over. We have a parent-infant program where the teachers go out to the homes and work with newly identified babies, birth through 3. That's under the Department of Health. At age 3, children transition to the Department of Education, so if you come to the school, you'll see 3, 4, and 5-year-olds.
Got it.
When they leave and they mainstream, and our hope is by 5, they're back in the mainstream in regular classes. If they need additional support, or if a school system calls and says, we have a deaf kid, we don't know what to do with them, 18 teachers working with kids preschool through high school. We have 120 kids in that program.
And no sign language?
No sign language.
Because?
There you go, Heather.
Hand off.
Well, we don't use any sign language because the object is to get the kids back into a typical kindergarten class and beyond with their typically hearing peers who don't use sign language. So we teach them to rely on their listening skills and their verbal communication skills to get along as if they were a typically hearing child amongst their peers.
Talk about the track record. What kind of track record do you have? And how do you track it?
Tracking is hard. Once they get into public school, mainstream public school, if the public school takes over, we don't have access to what's going on unless they come back. But the kids that we still maintain service with, the kids, they go to college, they're contributing members of society. Track record's excellent.
This is a piece of video that shows, it's a very short piece of video that describes some of the work that you do. I want you to take a look at it and just comment on it. Let's take a look at the clip.
Nope, nope, nope. Ready to listen? Yay! Good listening! All right, ready? Boom! That was good listening. You fixed it.
Now, what were we seeing there? Put that in context.
Well, that was a colleague of mine working with a little boy who was only very recently implanted. He's 3 years old.
Implanted?
Yes. He received a cochlear implant, which is a device that is implanted into the cochlea, and it stimulates the auditory nerve directly, bypassing the damaged hair cells. And this has allowed him to have access to sound, to be able to hear, whereas he never was able to hear before. So he was implanted, she said, 3 months ago, which means that he is listening as if he were 3 months old, even though he's 3 years old. So at this point in his education, she is working on just having him distinguish between 2 kinds of sounds. That activity, he was listening for a long sound, ah, associated with the airplane, or boo, a quick sound associated with the ghost. And when she would say the sound, he would identify whether it was for the airplane or the ghost and put that item in the box.
You know, what's so interesting to me is that traditionally, people would say you would have to teach those who are deaf with sign language. What caused you to say no, there was another way?
Over the years, technology and medicine have changed so radically that deaf people have more access to sound today with new technology than they've ever had before. And they can do so much with it. If you can give a child a cochlear implant before age 1, before age 1, and before they go through the normal language development process, you can establish those neural pathways for sound, then those kids by 5 hopefully will be back in a regular classroom.
So on some level, technology has allowed for this particular approach that may not have happened how many years ago?
I've been in field too long. She's been in less. I mean, they had them 10 or 20 years ago, but they've improved so much over the years that the kids that got cochlear implants 10, 15, 20 years ago can't do anything like what our children today can do.
And for parents watching right now, parents of a child who's deaf, who say, you know, I don't know what's ahead for my child. I don't know what the possibilities are. How much of this whole experience, this process, is not knowing and that sense of despair? And how much do you have to manage and deal with that? Because you know, listen, who knows for sure, but you see tremendous progress.
Yes. Yeah.
And isn't, I don't want to say managing the parent, that's not the right way to say it. How much is it dealing with their feelings, their emotions?
It's quite a bit. There's a lot, there's a very strong relationship that the teachers in our school have with the parents, especially with from the clip that you just showed with my colleague. They are the youngest children in the school, and they're sort of just starting out on the path. And there's a lot of coaching that comes with it. You know, we invite the parents in to work with the teachers, the speech therapist, and the student to learn how to work with your child and how to make everyday activities into something that's a language learning experience, just going shopping at the store or making a pizza. And so you can be doing things with your kid at home to promote language development and to support what's going on in school. But there's also a lot of coaching that goes along with dealing, like you said, emotionally with, you know, my child has a hearing loss, and I don't know what's in store for them in the future. I don't know if they're ever going to, you know, at that level, how are they ever going to say mommy? Am I ever going to hear them play with their peers? And once, you know, through their schooling and working with us and watching their child develop, there becomes a very strong bond between the school and the parents.
That's essential. A few seconds left. That bond is critical.
It's critical. And
you've seen amazing progress.
Absolutely. And you talk about possibilities. They're endless. Early identification, early amplification, early intervention. A deaf child can do anything a hearing child
and Heather,
can't.
I want to thank you. Sorry for cutting you off, but a lot of possibilities are happening because of the Summit Speech School. I want to thank you very much for joining us.
Thank
Reason
you.
to be hopeful.
One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been a production of the Caucus Educational Corporation, celebrating 25 years of broadcast excellence. Funding for this edition of One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been provided by the New Jersey Education Association, working for great public schools for every child. Investors Bank. Barnabas Health. PSE&G, committed to improving New Jersey's economy and strengthening its communities. New Jersey Manufacturers Insurance Group, auto insurance, homeowners insurance, and banking under the principle of stewardship. The law firm of Gibbons PC. Horizon Blue Cross Blue Shield of New Jersey, making healthcare work. And by Cohn Resnick, providing accounting, tax, and advisory services for more than 90 years. Promotional support provided by the Star Ledger and NJ.com, Everything Jersey, and by NJ Biz, All Business, All New Jersey. Transportation provided by Airbrook Limousine, serving the metropolitan New York, New Jersey area. One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been produced in partnership with St. Joseph's Healthcare System.